welcome to Mobility. Go ahead and check a baseline if you're ready to go. If you've already done your baseline, that's great. And we will get moving from there. So again, a baseline is any movement that you do that you can replicate. Maybe a movement that you've found that you're having difficulty with, or maybe a movement that you want to see improvement in, and maybe you've been having pain or problems or mobility with it or so on. So go ahead and check a baseline move, something that you could recheck, and then let's get on the ground. Nice. All right, start with your hands just kind of out wide and then drop into those elbows. Let your head and body stay nice and tall. If you want to, you can then slide all the way back. Knees are going to stay bent on this, and let's place our hands on our ribs so that you can just kind of feel the impact of your breath. Remember, our breath isn't just the moving in and moving out of oxygen. It's the reaction inside the body, chemical, physiological, and then also when we touch ourselves, we actually have what's called a somatic reaction. We have kind of a connection between the brain and the body. So we allow ourselves to be fully connected, and then create more awareness, more cognition, a deeper sense of understanding of our own movement and our own well-being. Nice, long, slow, deep diaphragmatic breath through the nose. We'll do this for about a minute. Keep that tongue against the roof of your mouth as best you can. You can keep your eyes open. That helps to kind of start balancing everything out. Remember, the vestibular system actually is engaged not just from the ears inward to balance, but it's the coordination of the eyes and the ears. About 5 more seconds, just nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And anytime throughout the session, if you want to, you can recheck a baseline. So if you want to get up and out of a move and see how your body's doing, maybe it's functioning really great, maybe it's kind of not as good as you thought it was. And so very often that means you either need to slow the movement down, you need to do a more modified variation of that movement, or pause that movement altogether and come back to it another time. And then that way you can kind of see how the body's reacting to different types of movements that you do. So from here, keeping diaphragmatically breathing as best you can through the nose with the mouth closed. Let's just begin that head nod. Lift the chin towards the wall behind you. Drop the chin to the sternum. Just elongate the back of the neck. So avoid at this point picking the head up. Just nod the head with the head touching the ground. Look up towards the wall behind you. Look down towards your navel. And then let's add some lift. Bring that chin up. Tuck that chin and bring the head up towards the belly. And then look back. Tuck the chin. Bring the head towards the belly. Look back. Tuck the chin and head towards the belly. One more. And then look to your right and look to your left. Remember, it's your eyes that lead your head then leads the body follows. So with that information, remember, if you're having head and neck issues, you're probably going to have some other interactive issue throughout the body. So your body will follow suit, either in tension or relaxation, either in balance or imbalance. So when we can balance the nervous system through the movement of the breath and the vestibular system, we can also very often connect deeper into the movement, not just the sensory nerves, but the motor nerves as well. One more time, each side. Good, and so from here, bring your right knee and then left knee up, and then just hold those knees, and then begin to stir those knees around in circles. Now you can kind of keep the pelvis slightly tucked, or you can let the tailbone drop and pull the knees in. And then do that the other direction. And then pause. Let's do the same thing, but without holding on with your hands. If there's any tension, or if you're feeling any pulling or pain or pressure in areas that you don't think you should, go ahead and slow the movement down and see if that makes a difference. So remember, each pace that you take the body through isn't because you're not good at another pace, but can also be a load on the body. So sometimes you need to slow the load of the body down or speed it up and or play with it. Even though you might start at one pace, go to another pace. It's okay to do different. Go the other direction. Keep working to try to breathe through that nose diaphragmatically. Now remember, all breath is diaphragmatic, of course, but it's the intention of the breath. I mean, we're intentionally just breathing through the nose, so we can intentionally bring the breath deeper into the lung space, drawing the breath deeper into the rib wall, not just through the belly or through the chest. One more time. Good. Bring your knees back together. Bring your feet to the ground. Just take your arms out. We're going to do a real simple cross crawl. You're going to just touch your right hand to your left knee and your left hand to your right knee. Now I recognize that this is a super easy motion, but we're doing it just to create just kind of that ease to begin with. Remember, all movement is really kind of gait pattern oriented, unless it's a combination really of movements. So a combination would be like, think of just dancing. That's combination movements. Those aren't truly gait patterns. Gait patterns are rocking, rolling, twisting, and cross-crawling, anything where you cross the midline of the body. Those are gait pattern movements, and kind of brings the body back into sequence. 2 more to each side. And all of our movements are just a level of, or a linking system of sequences. Last one here. Good. And then just go ahead and pause. Slide the legs out. And we're just going to bring the knees up for a quarter roll. And then bring the knee back and leg down. Other knee up, quarter roll. Now in that quarter roll, you can take your leg as far out as you want to the ground or up to the sky. So you could quarter roll and reach that leg up, or you can quarter roll and reach the leg down. Notice what's going on the opposite upper side. So as I take my left leg across, is my left arm trying to follow, or can I keep a little bit of resistance there? Now if this is too much, again, rotation, you do less or do slower. But it's a great way to integrate the lower half of the body. Take the weight out of the neck and shoulders, which we're going to do next. Good. So upper body, arms are down by your side. Pick your head up. Reach across the body. Pick your head up and reach across the body. Try to maintain your diaphragmatic breath. Notice now what's going on in your hip. So hip way down here, top of your pelvis. Notice that pull on the side, hip, waist, mid, lower back. 1 or 2 more to each side. Then we're going to come back through the middle again, walk those feet in, bring those knees up, and we'll start with a real basic dead bug. Now, two things you can do on a dead bug is you can keep that tailbone tucked, and so you really keep your back in a little bit of flexion. You can work to bring your pelvis more level, neutral, and so you have to work the rib cage a little bit more. If you're finding a lot of clicking in your pelvis or your hip, go ahead and tuck the pelvis a little bit, see if that changes. Or also you can change the range of motion of the legs. Two more each leg. And then take your arms out wide. Both knees drop to your right, center. Both knees drop to your left, center. Now when we do our baseline again and we check it, remember you always start it good. So you don't start at bad. And a lot of times people are like, oh, my movement's so bad. It's like, well, your movement's good enough for right now. And so, but we want to look for better and then maybe our best movement. Because sometimes we hit it and we're just like, oh my gosh, that's the best feeling I've ever had on that. And we want to try to repeat that. So the best way to try to repeat that is to redo what you just did. So if the movement gets better, we're going to repeat some of these movements again. So we'll come back. We're going to do two more to each side. Last one to each side. Good. Go ahead and pause for a second right in the center. Place yourself just like we first started, laying on the back. Then when you're ready, body feels good, shift yourself up and let's recheck your baseline and to see if the body feels better or maybe you feel the best that's ever been on that movement. And again, it could be your forward fold that you just did or a squat or a push-up or a rotation of some sort and you're seeing your range of motion, your movement in flexion or extension or just feeling of wellness and movement. So if your movement was better or even best, then let's do some of those movements again, those same basic movements. We're going to come right back to it. If there was anything that wasn't nice, if there was anything that was not working well, then I want you to go back to a movement that you just know you did well. So you can repeat whatever movement you want. I'm going to start back in at just that easy cross crawl. So my arms are up, my feet are bent, or my knees are bent, and I'm just going to go to that easy cross crawl. So this is a nice way to just realign or reset that nervous system, like pushing the power button or the reset button on a computer. The nervous system, it's pretty easy, doesn't move the spine too much, but it gives information in. Then I'm going to go back to a quarter roll, and I'm going to pick my lower body first, quarter roll, and see if that movement even in and of itself feels better now that we're doing it a second time. Sometimes the first time you do it, you're just kind of even just getting used to the movement. But remember, all these movements really actually are hardwired into the body. The extension of the movement or the depth of the movement may not be fully realized, but ideally you've actually, all your movements are kind of enabled by what the brain can already know that it does. Again, different from a dance move that you've never put a combination of things together, more so just the simple movement of baseline or human movement patterns. Good, go ahead and pause and let's go to a dead bug. Again, you can choose the variation if you want to go deeper. So if you want your head up or your legs straight or your legs going out, that's fine. You choose the variation. You choose the pace. Remember, if you're going so fast that you can't control the movements, just slow down or pause, recheck your position again, and then start over. It's okay that you don't try to fix movement in flight. You want to try to pause first. 2 more. Last one each leg. Good, and then pause here. Drop those feet down. Let's do it one more time. Let's get up for a baseline move. Roll to your side and recheck your baseline move. Give yourself that opportunity to check in and see where you're at and see if your movement's now a little bit better than it was, maybe even before. So where you were when you recheck your baseline is your new good. And maybe you're a little bit better than that. And or maybe now you're at your best. Nice. Good, so when you're moving better, you will naturally feel better. So movement is a natural endorphin changer, a natural mood lifter. Because when we move well, our body doesn't have to think, oh, I'm going to be in pain. Oh, that's going to hurt. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. And so you just naturally move better. Okay, so we're going to come onto our hands and knees and actually our forearms and knees and start with a knees rocking. So another base movement is the rocking pattern. So starting with your knees pretty much underneath you and your toes pointing back. Let's just start with our knees rocking. So just in eyesight, you can just kind of see how many joints are moving. So you're actually moving away from your wrist joint, your elbow joint, your shoulders. The spine is actually moving just a little bit forward and back as you do this rocking. Your hips, pelvis, your knees, your ankles because they're pointed back, and even maybe a little bit of your toes. Go ahead and curl your toes and let's get those toes involved. And now come up to your hands and let's get those wrists involved. You can keep that head up. That works the extension of the spine a little bit more. If you're having any hip or lower back issues, this can make a difference. And then let's alternate forearms and hands. Forearms and hands. So I don't know if you can see, but I'm pointing my toes back. I probably should take my socks off. I'm pointing my toes back as I go to my forearms, so back to that position that we started in, and I'm curling my toes under as I go to. So I get multiple variations of movement with a quick change. 2 more. And last one. And back up on your forearms. Pause. Let's take the knees a little bit wider, maybe the forearms a little bit wider, and sit a little deeper. So it's a little bit more like a frog kind of a position. And you may feel this a little bit more in the inner thigh. And again, your deeper is your deeper. And any movement you can do that's human movement, like these type of resets, you can do for any period of time. 30 seconds, you can do them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you can do the same movement over and over again. Think of walking. You do the same movement over and over again for miles. And you don't think, oh, I've just been walking. And then, yes, you have compression in the knees potentially or something like that, but learning how to do something like this, very simple, can actually aid walking better. So let's go back to our hands. And again, knees stay kind of wide. And you're going to feel the inner thigh, inner hip a little bit here. Good. Alternating forearms and hands. Forearms and hands. Forearms and hands. A lot of things to move. Knees are wider. One more. End it back on those forearms again. All right, let's extend your legs back. Feel that stretch in the upper thigh. And let's take the arms over the head. So just like we did lower body first quarter roll, we're gonna do again a lower body first quarter roll. So my arms are as high as comfortable over my head, and so I can roll using my head, and I can roll my head and let my head rest on my arm. Pick up one leg, roll over a quarter of the distance. Notice my knee is up, and then roll back. Lift up the other leg, roll, and roll back. Now, I'm lifting my leg and leading with my leg going there. And if you want to be real specific, you can lead with your leg and roll back. It's going to make you flop more because there's more weight. So I'm not even using my arms really, I'm just letting my upper body ride. But if you need more stability or you want more control on the way back, you're going to lift the right leg up, come into that quarter roll, then reach with your hand first and kind of control the descent with your arm and upper body. Lift the leg up, reach with the arm first, and then control the descent. Leg leads, kind of arm leads on the way back, if you want. One more time each side, and then we're going to do upper body. Good. So leading with the upper body is a little bit more tricky in a sense because you have to lead with the head. So lead with the head, look over the right shoulder, roll the torso toward the left side. Pick up the head if it's not up and roll back. Pick up the head, roll. Pick up the head and roll back. Look over your shoulder and back. Look over your shoulder and back. You could let your head just rest on your arm if this is causing a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders. One more time to each side. Good. As you come back onto those forearms and your knees. So you're not on your hands, and we're going to do a simple bird dog from a forearm out. So reach out right forearm and left knee. And notice I'm not even picking my foot off the ground. I'm just sliding my leg out. That way I don't kind of lift into my lower back. Two more. And last one, each side. All right, let's come up to the hands. Same thing with the hands. You can keep the hand and foot low. Or you can raise the hand and foot a little bit higher. So remember, the higher you go, the more you're going to have to control the balance. Also, the slower you go, you're going to have to control the core, which is also stabilizing and creating balance. Couple more. And pause. So we're going to do what's called an elevated roll. And in an elevated roll, you're going to take one leg up and over the back, kind of like a quarter roll, and then pick that leg up and roll back. So in an elevated roll, I'm going to pick my left leg up, and I'm going to roll. I can take my left arm up as well. Look down, hand down, pick that leg up. So knee comes up and open, and then down. Knee comes up, open, and down. Breathing. elevate the roll. And again, one more time on each side. And then down. All right, let's go check the baseline again, see how your baseline's doing. Again, maybe it was a squat or a forward fold, hinge, or a push-up, or maybe just a rotation of some sort. And just notice where your body connects or where you're not connected. So we're going to go back to those all fours and reset there. So if you noticed again, so if your movement is feeling better still even, great. We know that this combination of movements is working great for you. Nice, you guys. So let's just go back to knees rocking on the forearms. So you're going to choose either knees rocking on the forearms and staying here, or in about 5 more, you're going to go right up to hands rocking, from a hand position, knees rocking. So again, either stay here, or you're going to move up to knees rocking from your hands. You choose. Toes can be curled under or pointed back. So again, in about 5, you're going to do either knees rocking wide, or from your forearms or from your hands. I'm going to go down to my forearms, take my knees wider, and I'm going to go back to knees rocking, but I'm going to do it from a wide leg, forearms on the ground position. And then in about 5 more, I'm going to pick a bird dog. I'm either going to do bird dogs from my elbows and forearms, or I'm going to do bird dogs from my hands. So I'm going to do bird dogs from my hands. You can stay on your forearms. Remember, on your forearms, your knees are back, and you're really not lifting the hand and leg off the ground. If you're doing bird dogs from your hands and knees, there's more pressure into the hand, toe, and knee that's left on the ground. Both have a difficulty in the core for stability. And then we're going to do either an upper body or a lower body roll. Go ahead and come down to the ground. I'm going to do a lower body roll, lifting my leg up, quarter roll. Now you can do a quarter roll from the upper body, which just means you lift your head up first and take your arm over. Pick your head up and come back, and it's either or. So you can stay on arms or stay on legs. One more, both sides. Good. And then come back up, and let's recheck the baseline once again. So when we've moved the right and left sides, we've moved forward and back, we can really see how the body kind of is impacted by a lot of movement around the system, not just in one plane of motion. So for me, my forward fold is a lot better. I have more length in my hamstrings. Again, not doing a single hamstring stretch, just checking the movement for what I can get done. Even my squat feels better getting down, actually. So it's great when you can also check a movement that you didn't think, like, oh, well, that movement just feels better too. So remember, it's not always the movement is perfect, it's just that movement just feels better than it did before. So let's come up on our hands and knees, body's nice and tall, chest is lifted, and just breathe for a breath or two. Remember, the further back your arms get, the less pressure you have in your hands. If you want to go wider or lower, that's fine.
Good, and then look over your right shoulder, eyes move, look over your left shoulder, eyes move over your right shoulder, over your left shoulder. Notice I'm moving my shoulders a little bit more. And then more. So I haven't started moving my legs particularly. I'm going to get down a little bit lower, come back up, rotate, get down, come back up. And again, I still haven't really begun to move my legs that much. I'm just moving my arms. Reach down, you can slide down, slide back up, reach down, slide back up. Woo. Are you breathing to make the movement a little bit more fluid? And again, good, lower back, just to bring yourself all the way back and bring those knees up. Let's drop the knees to the right and to the left again. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper with less pull or lifting of the opposite shoulder from the way the knees are dropping. Notice how the body's feeling in opposition. Add a windshield wiper, extend the top knee out, back in, out, and back in. One more time. Reach out and back in, and last time here and back in. Bring those knees together. Let's circle those hips. Maybe this feels a little bit easier on the hips. Go the other direction. So even rolling is so good for the body. You know, I spent years working on those hard rollers and that kind of thing, which felt good in a bad way or bad in a good way or however that's supposed to be. And I realized actually in some ways the floor is the biggest roller you can get onto. So if you can roll on this and get some of that tissue mashing, it's kind of fun. And you can't fall off of it too. Go ahead and pause. Let's drop the right foot and left foot. Let's shift over onto one side and bring ourselves up. We're going to do side crawling. We're going to do side crawling. Part of the reason why is because it works those hips so well and the shoulder in opposition. So let's take our hands and our legs, work in opposition, and then back. Right arm still moves with left leg, just like a forward crawl, and try not to get those arms out in front of the knees. Once more, there and back. And then back to center, or wherever you started. Let's come down onto our hands and knees, maybe into a little child's pose. Let's finish with a little bit of breathing, just nice long diaphragmatic breath. If sitting back into kind of a child's pose isn't good for your knees or your ankles or whatever, you can lay on your belly. Settling the breath before you kind of move on to the next thing. Nice important way to kind of connect into the nervous system. It's like best example I have is with the horse. Like you ride a horse and you don't just put it out. You actually brush the horse down, cool the horse down, and then put it out. Or else it can just be, the term is ridden hard and put away wet. And you want to cool that horse down, get its fur, get everything to kind of just to settle. The same with you. You have less fur though. All right, go ahead and come on up. And last time, we'll do our baseline move and see if that movement just feels all together maybe best this time. Yeah, nice. Best for today.